All right, there we go. All right, how we doing, guys? This is Aaron Bennett with Hack Nation Live. We do this every Wednesday from 7 to 9 Central Time. If you're new to the show, this is a call-in centric show um, based on the heavy-duty diesel industry on highway engine, stuff of that nature. I own Hack Nation, and which is a diesel repair shop out of San Antonio. I come on here every Wednesday night, try and help out as many people as I can, try and keep them from having to come to a shop like mine if at all possible. Welcome. Again, this is a call-in show, guys. If you want to be part of the program, the number to call in is 573-422-4225. If you're watching this on TikTok, we encourage you to go over to Facebook or YouTube to watch this program because it's much more interactive over there. You can hear the caller, and that's the thing. You can hear watching on TikTok. Not that I don't appreciate you, but for sure. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll change this here. Go ahead and do that. Sorry about the bouncing screen. Anyway, guys, been a busy week for us. Actually, been one of the busiest weeks we've ever had. If you have followed me for any length of time, or if you've been following me recently, you know that we just stopped doing outside sales, which means we're not allowing people to get on our schedule to have an engine built for the entire month of August. It's the second time this year we've had to do that. We may have to extend it because there is still an insane amount of engines on our board. And I don't think 4 weeks is going to get us caught up enough to make any kind of difference. So our DD15 is worth doing an overhaul on. I think they are. I just really think that you should do an out of frame on them because just the nature of them. All of the lash settings and everything for the gear train is on the back. You know, they're designed funny. You can't get them unless you have it out of the truck. So, we've rebuilt some. And I have swore to myself we will never touch another one that we're not doing an out of frame on. So that's kind of my opinions on them. I know there are people that in frame them, but I have noticed that most of the people agree with me that doing an out of frame on them is the superior way, just because it's out of necessity, if nothing else. Now, what's your thoughts on the C13 cats? The C13 cats are, they're great engines. C13s are great engines, especially the KCB rather than the LEE. The LEE, I'm a big fan. It's a great engine. They're very lackluster. You're not going to pass anybody. Mini beer. I like the minis a lot better because by the time you get to the bottom of it, it's not disgusting. So the minis are the way to go, brother. Way to go. It's Timmy's birthday today, so the guys bought him some beers and a cake. So I snagged one of the beers. 12.7 versus a C13. I mean, 12.7s tend to do a little better on fuel. They do a little better on their power band and all that. For all intents and purposes, C12 is a better engine. If for no other reason than the fact that you're getting better fuel mileage for similar horsepowers. Depends on which 12.7 you have. Some of them have quite a bit of horsepower and can kind of outperform that C13. So, I'd rather have a cat than a Detroit personally, but that specific question, I think I'd probably go with the 12.7 if I had to choose between the two, because you're getting better fuel mileage. You're getting better fuel mileage out of a more powerful engine, basically, so to speak. So I was thinking of you wanting us to suggest guests on the show. How about any of your sons or any of the guys in the shop that have specialties on certain engines? I agree with that. I have had at least one show with Matthew, my son. And I actually just asked my brother-in-law if he would do a show with me. And you got to remember, guys, that not everybody is the same. Not everybody wants to get up in front of even though it would be just me and him here in the studio. Not everybody wants to put themselves out there like that, especially with a show like this where it's caller centric, where you're being put on the spot like that. Not everybody's built like that. I have 7 years of AM talk show behind me. That's call-in talk show. So doing something like this where I'm in complete control of everything, I mean, what an easy, cheesy time for me, right? Whereas my brother-in-law doesn't have any background doing that. I mean, I would love to get him on the show, and I actually plan to hound him a little bit, see if I can get him on here. It's one of the most knowledgeable mechanics in the United States, for sure. I'm very fortunate to have him here in this shop, but not everybody's that type of guy. Gets up here and talks to people and this and that. So, what's the best turbo to run on a cache? I don't know what a cache is, brother, but I'm thinking maybe you mean a cat. And if that is what you meant, it would certainly come down to which cat we're talking about. There's not just cats, not a blanket term. There's hundreds of different cat models out there. So, again, guys, if you want to call the show, which that's what this show is a call-in show. The number to call in is 573-422-4225. That's 573-222-4225. If you want to join me on here and talk to me and ask me any questions, usually we get some pretty good questions. If you're watching on TikTok, though, you won't be able to hear the caller. So we encourage you to go over to Facebook or YouTube to watch this show. That's much more interactive. Yeah, I mean, I really would like to get some of the guys that work here. My nephew might come on the show. I would like my brother-in-law. He's who I really want to get on the show here. He's the most knowledgeable mechanic. Not just building engines, like troubleshooting shit going wrong with trucks, and just equipment in general. He kept my trucks running for me for years and years and years. But yeah, TikTok's probably more fun. I know that, but it's probably pretty annoying though when a caller calls in and you have no clue. You're only hearing my end of it. But would you swap a newer engine with an older engine? Example: 2020 Freightliner with the Detroit 60 series engine swap. I mean, it all depends on what you want out of something, right? I mean, so if you're saying, swap out a DD15 for a 12.7, well, the reality of that is that the DD15 is going to be a much more powerful and robust engine than that 12.7. And mileage-wise, they've both proven to get about the same kind of mileage out of them, right? So which is a better engine? Well, what you're going to define as better is when you go to rebuild it. Hey, Worldwide, what's going on? And I saw Tim from Excalibur in there too. If you're, I'd like to have him back on the show too. A couple of people I want to go back and revisit and have them on the show. They've shown interest in coming back on. Charlie, Tim, certainly Rob from Highway and Heavy Parts, and Andy, the owner of Highway and Heavy Parts, is planning on coming on the show very soon as well. But back to what we were talking about there. Really the only time you're going to say 12.7 is a superior engine is when you go to rebuild it and it costs you $50,000 to rebuild your DD15, and you're like $15,000 to rebuild that 12.7. Then you'd be like, oh, the 12.7 is such a great engine. But in reality, that DD15 is more powerful, gets the same kind of fuel mileage, and can go just as long. I mean, they're million mile plus engines, no problem. Switchblade turbos, what's your thoughts? I don't know, man. Turbos are such a fickle thing. Like yours, you guys know I have a whole parts line coming out, and that's been one of the biggest challenges is what are we going to do for a turbo? You guys know I just sold some turbos. I'm assuming I just sold some turbos that were prototypes. We had a bunch of different prototype turbos. Same thing with injectors. We're doing injectors in-house, hand in hand with highway and heavy parts. They went back and reinvented the wheel on those new injector bodies. The injectors that are coming out are gonna be the injector to have. I know that's a big claim because injectors are such a problem part of our industry, pretty much for any engine platform. But that was the main thing I went to highway and heavy parts about. Was like, solve the injector problem, and we have a customer base for life, And so they've been back to the drawing board on those injectors, from the word go on all of this, and we're just about to have a finalized product. The biggest thing was getting a designed injector body so we knew from beginning to end. So, but same thing with the turbos. What do I think about switchblade turbos? Well, what I can tell you is I tested a fuck ton of turbos out there. We put a bunch of turbos to the ringer. We did a bunch of coatings on turbos. We did a lot of turbos, and you want to know what we ended up going back to the big names that have been doing this forever, Garrett and Borg Warner. I told you guys from the beginning that I was never going to bullshit you about the way you're doing stuff. But we went back to Warner. This is, for example, for like our 78 millimeter 145 is have one in the on the way. That is going to be what they call their super core. So I was buying the super core from Borg Warner and our housing on it, right? So we designed a housing, and so I feel more comfortable with something like that than people with type turbos, because you got to look at your histories. Jesus, dude, it's like I have a history with like Garrett, and I have a history with Borg, and that history is fucking amazing. First part of that history is they make damn good turbos. The second part of that history is they stand behind them. Those are the two most important factors to me, right? So when we had all kinds of different people send us different kinds of turbos, some of them were really fucking badass. Like those titanium wheels, man, those things were slick. Those were slick turbos, man. But what was good with those turbos if didn't hook up to the pipe? Number one. Number two, those turbos, we had a hard time dealing with that company for warranty, right? I didn't even want to go down that road because we know that those things are going to happen. So if we go with companies that we have 9, 12 years history, and we just improve on what they have. So like I said, like a Borg Warner is going to come as a super cartridge. And then from there, we will take and put our housing on it. It's a way better idea. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're going with the best. What we all know is the best, and just building off of what's the best. Same thing like with our cylinder heads. I'm not going to be that company, and they're all out there, and they're all doing this, guys. ATL, PDI. I don't give a shit. You pick any of those guys. HHP. You pick a company. If they're selling an aftermarket head, it's a Jarrah head. Look at the fucking stamp in the front, your casting stamp on that thing, and compare them from one guy to the next. Compare an ATL, compare a PDI, compare them all. What are you going to find? I already know what you're going to find. All of them have been made by the same place. It's the same one that HHP here, same one that they all have. Okay. And then they feed you a line of bullshit, like ATL's Patriot series, and they put some fucking paint on the stupid springs, and more power to them. I'm not knocking them. I'm not saying their head's no good, but their head's fucking awesome. It's the same head that everyone has. Same thing with PDI. They're telling everyone they have a great head. Well, they do. That aftermarket head's fucking badass. My bone that I want to pick with all those guys is don't sit here and tell everyone it's American-made head, which is what you're doing. I mean, literally, it's what they're doing, and it's not true, right? So, and I can stand here and say that comfortably, right? Jarrett Head, fuck off with, you can lie to all the people. Don't try to bullshit me. No, I don't have any callers yet. I haven't been calling. I'm enjoying just talking to all you guys. Uh, when I'm just on callers, it's better for the TikTok audience. So if anybody does call, 2422, in fact, we've been getting and looked, having those cast heads machined, and it would have to have the equipment that you have to just machine out a raw cast head. It's fucking unreal, right? And so ultimately, we went back to Jarrah like everybody else, and that's where we started. And we looked at the Jarrah head and said, okay, how can we improve on this? Well, probably not with fucking spray painted springs. I'm just saying. Um, American made Inconel valves. Well, we're already doing that. Highway and Heavy Parts been doing that forever. PDI's doing that. ATL's doing that. They're all doing that, right? They all take the Chinkonel valves out. No racism intended. That's just the name that people call them. And they put Inconel valves in, American made Inconel valves. That's pretty common practice in our industry. So your aftermarket heads almost all have American made valves in them. Nobody trusts the valves that come from China. There's there. What am made? Pretty much not. So what we're doing is we're going and putting micro slick on the stems. Everybody's asking me about the valve face is more for looks, guys. I mean, it does withstand 1800 degrees. Do I think it's going to stand up to getting its ass blasted over and over and over again? I could. Successfully has been put in that application on medium duty and it's that's not on there. I'm putting it on there because where you want that micro slick is on the stem. What that's from focus on the cam bushing. That's where attention is. Go to for catastrophic stances like dilute oil. So instead of reinventing the wheel, and in some products we reinvented the wheel, right? We have cool shit out, and any minute, there just keeps being delay after delay. I mean, right now we already have all of the kits we were going to come out with. They're done. The only thing that's not finished on our kits is we have this special tray. I don't want to say too much because it's supposed to all be shock and awe and wow, of course, but the way the box is laid out, fit. I'm trying to cram much shit. Make sure it sells apart. Kind of always something trying to, it's supposed to be like we're going to see it done. I didn't want to just read some. We have that. My wife's working on getting us. My wife's working on getting us. What do you call it? Starlink. This internet's such fucking trash. I can't believe I got a new internet provider and this is what I have to deal with. So dumb. All right, we do have callers. I guess I probably better take a couple. Question about a thermostat. What's your question about a thermostat? If you ask it quick, I'll answer it before I start taking callers. Oh, maybe not. Well, all right. All right. We're gonna have to go take some callers here. Are you guys able to see me now on Facebook and YouTube? I think correctly. If not, well, that sucks. Lane, you're on the air, brother. What can I do for you? Okay.
Hello.
There. Hello. What can I do for you, brother?
Hey, so working on caterpillars here, and question I've got is the water system out of the pump. Is it all pressure, or are some of them bypass or return lines?
Out of the pump?
Yes.
Out of your pump, there's no returns back into the pump.
So can you explain to me how a coolant system works? The flow out of the pump and bypass and thermostat action, how that works?
Okay, so obviously I have a radiator, which is your storage container for your fluids, right? And for TikTok, he's asking how does a cooling system work for the diesel engine? Long story short, your coolant sits in your reservoir, which is your cooling package radiator. The first place it goes is into your thermostat housing. And then from your thermostat housing, it's able to not exactly correct. Anyway, your coolant is running all the time through the pump. I'm having a brain fart. Your coolant's running all the time through the pump. Your thermostats are keeping the coolant in the head from flowing. I believe that's how it works. The coolant in the head is not able to flow until the thermostat's open, and that is to cause the engine to get hot, so to speak, right? But your coolant comes from your tank to your pump, and from your pump it gets pumped into the engine, into the water cavity of the engine where all the cooling is happening. You have to remember that your coolant, the purpose of the coolant is actually to cool the oil, and the purpose of the oil is to lube the engine, right?
Yep.
So your coolant is being pumped through. So your coolant is always being pumped through the oil cooler, and it's always being pumped through the engine, but it's not always being pumped, being dropped down through the head. Now the cylinder head, when the thermostat's open, it's able to flood the system from the cylinder head much, at a rapid rate. But the coolant is being returned back to your cooling package independent of the pump. Your pump is pulling from one side of the cooling package, and the coolant is being returned from the other side, so to speak, right? Which would be your top and your bottom.
Yeah. So if the thermostat fails, and I'm sure you've seen it fail multiple different ways, but if it fails and it stays shut, there's still a way for the coolant to return through the cooling package by traveling down through the block but then again, if all of that is pressure, then it's running into itself if it's not able to go through the thermostat.
Two things: your coolant can circulate while the thermostats are closed, The second thing is thermostats don't fail closed; they fail open.
So, and then once they fail, you pull off the thermostat housing, and it'll be stuck open if that's the case.
That's correct. The thermostat's
But if it's shut,
it won't. It will only be shut if it's working properly. If your thermostats fail,
okay.
They default to open. And that is specifically.
So
you can't ruin your engine from
engine is running
from a bad thermostat. That's what I'm telling you.
So if the engine is running and it's not getting up to operating temperature, the readings are the same on the gauge with a laser pointed at it and through the scan. What possibly be keeping the engine from getting up to operating temperatures?
Weather, wind, ambient air temperature, load on the engine. You can have an engine in Texas in 110 degree wet, and it will completely wet stack from not getting up to operating temperature if there's no load on it.
Okay. The load on it, but that gauge won't go up over.
Yeah, fan being stuck on. Yep, as one of the commenters said.
No, fan is on. You definitely hear the fan going on, but
well, that's just
because it's
stuck on
30 minutes. It'll get up to 180. You know, idling it at 30 minutes beside it. But if I only this 30 minutes, 45, it won't go over 160. So, and I haven't done the thermostat test yet to see if the spring will open, which obviously it will.
Yeah, it's probably stuck open.
The thermostat?
Yeah, they don't fail closed; they fail open. They're probably failed and they're stuck open.
Yeah. Well, I took it apart, and it was closed. It's closed. So, kind of got me a little confused.
I don't know, brother. I don't know. There's so many factors that it could be.
You've never seen them failed closed?
That they can't fail closed.
Something would be stuck in there holding it from opening.
What kind of foreign thing can get in there and hold it from opening? It would have to get on the opposite side of flow and go back against itself. It's not possible.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll keep digging at it.
All right, brother. Well, good luck.
Yeah, you bet.
Bye. One guy asked, do you make more money building motors or social media? You don't make money social media unless you have tits and an ass and you're not male. Come on, dude. Oh God. No, but somebody asked, when you're talking about operating temperature, you're talking about oil, you're talking about coolant. Your oil and your coolant run in tandem, guys. Come on. You can't pick one or the other. They're going to run in tandem, not at the exact same temperature because one's cooling the other. But I'm typically talking about your coolant temperature, not about your oil temperature when I'm using a reference. We always reference coolant, not oil, when we're making our references. But to try and discern between the two is kind of a fool's errand since they are intricately linked to each other. You can't really separate them because one exists to keep the other one cool. At what point can I idle my truck through the night after an overhaul? We recommend 10,000 miles on it before you let it sit around and idle. That's our recommendation. Other guys may argue with me. I don't know. Not all dummies know that. Well, all dummies should know that. It's so hot in here. One of our ACs busted. I'm down to 1 AC and it is not working well. Hello, you're on the air. You got a Mac engine? Not really a Mac guy.
Yeah, I got a. Hopefully, you can help me out because I've got It's an '07 that AL400, and it's got 400,000 miles on it, and it's a truck and a pup. It's a dump truck and a pup. My exhaust temperatures when it's hot out here, we're down in Texas. When the ambient air temperatures, I don't know, 90, 100, 105, the EGTs run about 1,000, 1,100 degrees pretty consistently, pulling a load up a grade. I've heard that if you hold it at 1,000 for more than about a minute, you're going to start tearing up things. I've also heard they can handle up to 1,200 for about 5 minutes if you're pulling something heavy, steep, up a steep grade. What's your take on that? Because when I take here's the other part of that. It doesn't have as much power as I'd like, because when I take the oil cap off to put oil in it, and you got a little bit of blow by. I don't think it's enough to worry about at this particular moment, but I think it has something to do with the performance. But I'm trying to kind of straighten out the conflicting information we're getting as far as that goes.
So basically what you're asking me is if your pyrometer is getting too hot.
Yeah, if they're EGT, if can that thing withstand 1,000 degrees, pretty consistent?
Yes.
Loaded?
Yes.
Or is
yes.
1,200 the breaking point?
I mean, if you asked Cat to look up their specs on it, they would tell you 1,200 is okay. I don't like it.
Right.
I think 1,200 RPMs at 1,200 degrees on your pyro will end up with melted pistons if you try and pull a 4 mile,
Absolutely.
14% grade. But but Cat would argue that that's not true. Just so you know. Okay. So, what have I seen in reality versus what do the manufacturers say? 1,200 is doable for periods of time, and 1,200 is doable for periods of time, right?
Okay.
1,000 is doable for pretty much an unending period of time. Okay, on our pyros, you're melting shit on. You're not melting shit at 1,000, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. Well, that's easy enough. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
Take care.
You too, mate. I'm ordering fucking Starlink tonight. I'm so sick of this stupid shit. But anyway, I do appreciate everybody bearing with me, despite the fact that the internet sucks donkey dick. Kenworth charged me $4,000 today for an EGR valve. They said an EGR can cause electrical issues. Is this true? I have a feeling they are going to call me in the morning wanting more money. An EGR can't cause electrical issues. That's just weird. But anyway, what's your opinion on... I saw you ask that before, but I don't understand what you're talking about. What's your opinion on FP kits? I don't know what that is. I don't know what FP kits are. I know what you mean, in-frame kit, but I've never heard of FP. Are you done buying engine blocks? No, we are not done buying engine blocks. We would love to buy a lot more. Here's what happened, guys. And I just saw in my comment section 4 or 5 different people asking that. I need to make another video. If you go back and look at that video where I was talking about we're buying engine cores, it has 1.6 million views. 1.6 million views. And we had somewhere in the realm of like 2,000 people reach out to us with blocks. After talking to 50, 60 people, it became overwhelming. So it's not that we're not still buying blocks. We just got overwhelmed by it. So yeah, we're going to have to. And here's the thing. I would like to run around the country and pick up blocks so I can meet people while we're doing it. So we're trying to figure something out like that in like 8 weeks. I'll make another video saying we're buying blocks, and I just want to run around the country and try and meet as many people as I can just for fun and buy up cores off people. That should be a good time. All right, we got callers. I've been making them hang out. Let's go ahead and take some of them here. Hello, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hello.
Yep.
All right, man. I
No, you're good. What do we got
missed
going on?
you. Well, I'm a mechanic myself, but I'm not. I haven't been into motors like obviously like you guys have. I've been to mostly just Detroit. But I had a buddy that 3406B, and he had a guy turn it up or something like that. I think that's the way he. I mean, he's pretty well in the bag, but he just it blew off the seal on the pump. He tried to turn it up, and then he's like, "There is only so many of them made between 3406C and 3006B." It's like, I'm not sure about that. I don't know. Like, would turning the pump up like that, being an E model, be without going ECM? Would that fuck things up or not?
So the inherent problem that you have with the B model and turning them up is they have an aluminum piston crown, along with an aluminum skirt. And so, yeah, if a guy turns them up and puts the fuel to them really hard, you have to have enough air to compensate for the fuel that you turned it up, which usually, like if we're building a higher horsepower B model, we're going with a different head, aftermarket head that's a round port head, which has way better flow instead of the square, right? So you modernize the cylinder head. That right there is a big thing. The second thing is that allows you to use a performance manifold, something like a full tilt or something like that, that's got really good flow. That's going to make a huge deal. And then you go to some kind of a quick spooling type turbo, either a 132 or 145, 78 millimeter, quick spooling type turbo. Then you can turn those screws, and the odds of you melting into the ground decrease quite a bit. Now, when we build them, we go back with steel pistons, right? That's the thing to do. Go back with steel pistons, get the air moving, and then you can turn them up. And we try to large B models to be somewhere right around 600 horsepower. That's our goal. 575s. So I'm going to sit here and bullshit and tell you it can't be done, because it can. But
so now, was there a break in there where they use the same thing between the B and the E model, or no? No, I mean, I didn't think so, but I just, he called me, and I don't know much about cats. I'm going to 100% honest with you.
So you have to remember that there's things that are interchangeable all the way to the end on these things, right? But the B model, the B model,
like Detroit Mercedes. Oh.
Right. I mean, your B model all the way to your NXS, all the way to your SDP takes the same liner, right? And there's other similarities, but there's not as many with the B model because it was a low, a mid-step cam with a pushrod system. So that's why it has so many other discrepancies. You go from the E model, well, most of your parts on E model are interchangeable all the way to the last cat ever built, right?
Well, I guess I should. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take up too much of your time, but
no, you're good.
It like his thing is pulling. Like I live in Wisconsin, so going over a hill or whatever. Like I watch your videos. Like we don't pull the grades you do. I mean, they're steep and long, but he's like when the guy turned it up. Again, I have no idea who it is. I don't care, but he always double clutch, and when he double clutch, laying out the foot feet, it would just rev out. And then you have to wait a while to drop it back in to get up the hill. And this is on a Super 9 the 36 speed with 455 rears. So it's like I don't know. That's why I'm calling, of course. So
Sure. Yeah, I have no clue why. I mean, what? I'm not even sure what you're asking me there.
yes, I'm asked like he was asking me. I guess I'm just relaying the information. And I just seen you were on live. I was like, hey, I'll just call in and just ask.
Yeah.
Like when you listen to foot feet, and when they did a transplant from the B to the E model, like why is it revving out when he's trying to either double clutch or let out the foot feet, and it just revs up, and you got to wait for it to come back down to put her in.
I mean, where did you guys get your throttle position censoring and all that stuff? I mean, to do
that's like
to even do what you're talking about is a major endeavor and is going to be a cobbled fucking shit show, no matter who does it.
Yeah, that's where like again.
Right.
Asking me, and I already told you, like I haven't been the cats
I'm all
that
about,
much.
I'm all about helping guys solve problems, but I do want to steer clear trying to help guys solve problems that they call a completely hilly the living fuck out of a truck, right? Which almost guarantee. So how? I mean, so if you have a one-off, right? It's like with anything. If you have that's like some guy building a truck that's near built Freightliner. He built it. How can I tell you what's going on with that truck?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it's like, hey, I'll just throw it out here. Maybe he has some insight, which I'm not. I don't mean any other direction about that. I just
right. Let me go one more time here, okay? When he goes, when he pushes in the clutch, it revs up independent of his foot being on the pedal.
Yes, sir.
So it's revving up because of the clutch is pushed in, or it just revs up and then comes back down.
Like I guess what he explained to me was that he'll push a clutch in, the double clutch. It revs up without the foot feet. Like I said, like TPS. It'll just rev up, and then you got to wait a little while to have it come back down and then come into it. But then again, I don't know how he's driving. Just like you said, there's so many variables in this shit.
Yeah, I don't know. That's too hard a one, man.
But I guess my other question would be like on do ISXs and ISMs, would you delete an ISM or ISX? Would you run it over 750,000 if you ran hard if it's going to drop a liner?
I mean, if it
sorry to cut you off.
No, there's two arguments there. Number one, and I am more in favor of this argument than I would have been 5 years ago. There's something to be said for the guys that rebuild their shit before it's fucked. Those guys get out of my shop for astronomically less than guys that come here with an engine that is fucked. There's no doubt about it. Okay. But on the inverse of that, no one can tell you that 700,000 is at the point where you're going to drop a liner or whatever it might be. You pick anything where you're going to lose your cam and this and that. The other way to look at that is, kind of what I would tell a guy is take fucking oil samples and then you don't have to gas and keep running the damn thing. Right?
I agree with you
so that's so much cheaper than rebuilding it on a whim. And it's certainly cheaper than not rebuilding it on a whim and the fucking thing comes apart and slings a rod out the side. Right? And oil sample's inexpensive. That's my opinion on it. There is no magical number when you need to rebuild an engine. You know, whatever number, whatever number somebody says to you, there's going to be 100,000 counters.
That's what
Right. There's 100,000 counters. Example, whatever number comes up with.
Good night. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You too. Bye. All right, we got two more callers. Yeah, two more callers on. We'll get to you guys here in just a second. Easy fix, don't double clutch. You know, I was actually kind of thinking the same thing. Who's double clutching? Do people do that? I mean, who has a double clutch coming out of the port? Bah, just kidding. With the EPA removing the DEF regulation, I know we can delete them somehow. We can make it a regular motor, blah, blah, blah. You know, I've seen the legislation that that senator is trying to push forward for rolling the EPA regulations back to 2010, I think it is, which really sucks. He needs to roll it back to 2001. 2010 still leaves a lot of shit on there, boys. Still leaves a lot of shit on there. But here's the thing you guys got to understand. That's a proposal. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of proposals go through the Senate and Congress and so on and so forth every year. That thing hasn't even got to the point where special interests and lobbyists have gotten involved with it yet. My prediction, and guys, I hope I'm wrong. I hope to God I'm wrong. That would be great. I would love that more than anything on planet Earth if we went back to 2010 regulations. That'd be fucking amazing. I don't think there should be any at all. But the fact of the matter is that still has to get voted on, and special interests still have to get involved. Now, look at Cummins, Detroit, Packard, Volvo, whatever. Pick an engine. Those guys have invested millions and millions and millions of dollars to comply with EPA standards. If it gets rolled back 2010, the barrier for entry for engine manufacturers will substantially, and a lot of competition will enter the market. So the odds that your companies that have already invested billions of dollars into producing these EPA compliant engines are just going to roll over that is incredibly small. So in other words, the guys that you tell yourself, oh, Cat's going to be so happy. Bullshit. It's going to be Cat, Cummins, Detroit, all these fuckers that are going to be paying big money, lobbying as hard as they can to keep a law like that from getting enacted. And that's so they can keep the barrier for entry super high. Make sure nobody can compete with them and protect their investments. Same thing happens, and I've given this example before, like with when they banned machine guns in the 1980s. There's been several movements to unban those machine guns. And every time they try to unban them, the people that lobby the hardest to keep laws from getting enacted are the machine gun owners currently. With people that are machine gun enthusiasts currently, because they're trying to protect their investment. Because you have like an old piece of shit Mac 10 that is only worth about $300, and you got to pay $30,000 for it because it was made prior to 1983. And so if a law got passed that made new manufactured guns fully automatic legal, nobody would ever buy that Mac 10 again. It goes back to being a $400 or $500 gun. His whole fucking investment's been shot down down the toilet because you can go out and buy an AR-15 for $700. Buying that's an M16 select fire or something because the law's been changed. It's only fucking 25 cents different in parts. It wouldn't cost anymore. Nobody's gonna go buy a fucking piece of shit Mac 10 for 30,000. The people that you think people that want laws like that are always the people that are against. Same thing. And so my prediction is that you will not see the EA go away anytime soon. It's a fuck it, boys. It's a fucking racket. You know, anytime capitalism is a beautiful thing. You guys know I love capitalism if you follow me for any length of time. But capitalism, free market capitalism, is mutual exchange between individuals, nonviolent. And the government doesn't fit that criteria. That's capitalism when the government's involved. Government creates the barriers for entry. Government creates the monopolies. There's too much money there. There's too much money there. I wouldn't hold your breath, boys. I wouldn't hold your breath that they're going to roll back jack shit. Mac 10s are junk. I use Mac 10s as an example. They are fucking. If you guys know, if you know, you know, I owned a gun store for many years. Dabbled in pretty much every gun on planet Earth. Mac 10s are junk. That's why I went there with that one. All right, we'll go ahead and take a. Oh shit, we got a bunch of callers. Gosh, damn it. We'll go ahead and take a caller here, guys. Guys, if you want to hear the caller and you're watching on TikTok, we encourage you. We're streaming this live on Facebook and YouTube, and you can actually hear the caller over there. Not that we don't appreciate you being on our live on TikTok, but it is a much more interactive experience over there. All right, Lynn, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Thanks for taking my call. Running a 9714, which I've never ran, and I saw one of your videos that said it's better to run the red antifreeze in those engines because it doesn't cavitate and cause. I don't remember what you said it caused, but anyway, it's better for the engine. What kind of antifreeze should I use? I mean, red, obviously, but there are so many different kind of reds out there.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what color you're using. You need to get color out of your mind. Because not. I mean, obviously, they designate a lot of them by color. The best color is actually pink. That's going to be your oat coolants, right? If you want to be super technical, an oat coolant's going to be your best option by far. That's what I used to run in all of my trucks. It's exactly how it sounds, OAT. Your oat coolants are the best, hands down. But to answer your question, what you're looking for is a extended life coolant. Now, your coolant does not come in a myriad of colors. It comes in green. So you don't want to buy green.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about there is cavitational erosion. I have an excellent video on my TikTok and on my YouTube. It's only a couple videos back. It's not a video I made. It's a video that I shared, but I shared it as my own video because I was hoping people would watch it. It shows exactly how cavitational erosion happens. Cavitational erosion can't happen unless there is degradation in the facing of the steel. So in other words, degradation of the liner. As long as there's nothing for your cavitational erosion process to cling onto when it's bursting, then it can't grab into the liner and tear holes in it. So that is what running like an extended life red coolant, so to speak, that's why that's so important, is because you don't have any degradation of the enamel that's on the outside of your liner, where you do with the green coolant because it is highly corrosive. That makes sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If it does, I watched that video, and like I said, I've watched your videos on where you're talking about it too. Right now, I'm running the the coolant filter with the I don't know what it is for sure, but you hear in there. Do I need to filter?
A misconception of what a coolant filter is. And guys, again, I apologize for the shitty internet. I hope to cure that by this next show. I know I said that last show, but you get busy. But all those filters is just the same ELC or whatever it's called. Or I can't remember I can't remember what the hell it's called. But it's the stuff that makes your coolant extended life, and it's in hard balls, and it dissipates into your coolant over time. So should you change your filter? Well, sure, after you ran it 6 months, they're not expensive. You just do it like every third oil change interval, and you never have to worry about it. Or do it every 6 or whatever. You just kind of pick a number.
Okay. Well, I've done it every other oil change, which I'm going to say that's probably too soon. So no, I was talking about switching to the filter that didn't have the extended life, which I know now I need to just go ahead and keep on running while it's running with that. Kind of on the same basis. This is my first N14 I've ever driven. I've only driven cats, and the motor, if I stay in it, it'll go right up there at 207 degrees on the water temp. Is that
beautiful?
I try not to run it too much like that. Sir?
I said beautiful.
Oh, okay. Well, I just try to keep it down around 200 is where I try to keep it at. Like I said, it'll run on up there if I let it.
As long as it doesn't run away from you, as long as you don't have to adjust the way that you're driving for it to cool back down, don't worry about it. Your engine runs, the hotter your engine's running, the more efficient it's running, the better fuel mileage it's getting, the more horsepower it's putting out. The hotter it's running, the more carbon it's burning off, and the longer the components of the engine are going to last. Yeah, does heat kill engines? Okay. Yes, heat kills engines, but it's not those temperatures that we're talking about. Right?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. One more question, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I apologize. Like I said, this is my first N14. Where's a good place to run the RPMs at that on that engine?
A little higher in your cat. You're a couple thousand RPMs higher on the bottom and on the top. And you'll get a lot more. You'll get.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you'll appreciate the engine a lot more if you're running a little higher than you do your cat. A couple thousand RPMs, both ends of the spectrum.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, sir. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
You too.
It says, okay, you say you get your truck to operating temp, but with these new trucks, they run 180, 190. No time do I see 120 or higher. When I'm climbing a hill and the fan comes on when I reach the temp, is there any other way to burn the carbon, build up, or beat it away? So here's the thing. Newer engines tend to run at a higher operating temperature across the board, 180, 190. That's great. If your engine was running at 190, 180, 190 all the time, you're going to have a lot less carbon buildup than one that runs at 160 and then goes up to 210 and back and forth, right? Like your Cummins especially. God, those things run hot. But they're designed to. Should I add DCA? That's what I was trying to remember. DCA supplement to antifreeze. Or is extended life good enough by itself? Extended life is good enough by itself, 100%. I always like to add DCA. Let's say that you still have the same coolant in there 6 months later. I would always add a couple bottles of DCA to all my trucks just to keep them nice and minty fresh on all of their additives. Is ISX 2350 oil temp safe at 220 to 230? Yes, it is. That is just fine. It would be nice to see cooler temps on the oil on those ISXs. We all know that they run really, really hot. But it's not hurting anything, guys. It's not hurting anything. The problem with trying to cool down the temps on those ISXs is you're basically looking at getting a PDI dual oil cooler, and they're fucking outrageously expensive. I have the solution for that coming out in 2 weeks. We have a product that's going to be just under $500 that takes about 30 minutes to install instead of being a $2,000, $3,000 bill to install. And it's going to make your coolant run within 10 degrees of your oil, or your oil run within 10 degrees of your coolant, rather. So pretty excited about that. I don't want to get too far into it. It's kind of a big surprise. We're going to debut it here soon. A really fucking cool product. It took us quite a while to find a place that would mass produce them for us and still keep the quality up. I've already bought all the wrapping and boxes and all the coating. We're going to coat them first. We're going to coat them with oil shedding properties, and they're going to be a pretty cool product. All right, we got a couple callers. We got quite a few callers. So we'll keep taking her. I'll take a call. I'll go to the comments. Take a call. Go to the comments. If you're waiting on hold, I will get to you. I just kind of want to keep up with these comments here, guys. Because I can. And I do enjoy the comments. Hello, Randy. What's going on, brother? What can we do for you?
Well, I had a situation here a while back. I kind of wanted to share and get your. I've got I run an '87 model, 379 Peterbilt with a 3406B, and I pull a RGN with it, and mostly, heavy haul. I went and loaded a dump truck here a while back and left the intersection, got out on the road, and the sucker just made I would call it a sucking sound. That bad feedback on this thing. But anyway, I spent 3 days on the side of the road, called mechanics and such as that, and I ended up pulling the injector pump apart, the governor, checking everything I possibly could. Finally took another truck down there, got it loaded. It would idle. It would idle only. And it idled on all 6 cylinders, sounded perfect, but wouldn't take any throttle. So I got it to the house and was going to pull the covers off of it and see if I had injector. I was just trying to figure out what was going on with it. And we pulled the air-to-air off and pulled the air system off, and had a buddy of mine helping me. And he said, "What's that rag right there on top of the turbo?" And he said, "Did you put that in there?" And I said, "No." So long story short, I had somehow or another, and I still don't have a clue how this got in there, but I had a hoodie in the intake on it from the air breather, one of the air breathers. I don't know which one. I know I'm 90% positive I didn't put it in there because I never do that. But anyway, it sucked it all the way down on top of the turbo. Didn't hurt the turbo. But in this time I was messing with it, it loaded up the air-to-air system with oil and that sort of thing, and I never even thought about that. And cleaned it all out, made sure the turbo was good, put it back together, cranked it up, it sat there and idled perfectly. First time I cracked the throttle just a little bit, it picked all that residual oil and fuel up and burned it out, which was it didn't do what I would call a runaway, but it did rev up, and I jumped out of the truck because I was afraid the clutch was going to come apart. So I didn't stay with it to see how high it revved. But to me, it didn't seem like it did all that much. But it did enough to slap the valves and be in the push rods.
Okay, let me tell you.
I was
Let me tell you a little story real quick.
Okay.
I rebuilt my own B model, and when we got to the end of it, I had my son Matthew, who most of you know. Oh, hang on, I gotta fix the TikTok feed here. Ah, you piece of shit. TikTok makes you do that stupid. Anyway, my son left a rag in the intake, and it went through the intake and bent a bunch of the push rods. You cannot even something as thin as some yarn cannot get in between your valves and your piston. Otherwise, you'll end up with bent push rods. Here's the thing, man. For you to have bent push rods, the piston struck the valves. You got to take the head off. You're gonna have to change some pistons and change cylinder head.
Well, I've got a call into your office. I'm kind of waiting to hear back, but I was hoping to maybe just get a long block. And this is probably going to be my last round at my age, and I'm just kind of hoping to get something in it that'll have me basically. But I thought I'd pass that line. I mean, I've seen those 3406s pull a rag through there and chew them up and spit them out in the past. But I never have had anything. I'm just, if anybody ever runs into something like that where that engine will only idle, it's not getting any air. Everybody I talked to didn't, they said, the governors went out, you've lost injector, all this kind of stuff. And it didn't really feel like it because it wasn't missing at all. It sounded good at idle. And, but unbeknownst to me, it had a jacket in the intake. Not in the intake itself, but it was on top of the turbo.
Right.
And my big mistake was not cleaning out that air-to-air system and such as that, because it had a lot of residual fuel in it.
Yeah, you would have been fine if you would have swapped that air-to-air out or cleaned it out or did something. But usually you can tell if you dropped a valve because the air will chug back through your air cleaners, and you can hear the engine running through your air cleaners. It's pretty crazy. But
well, it is now. It is now because
I don't doubt.
I put push rods in it, thinking I might get lucky, and it did. It ran for probably 7-8 miles, ran good. And then all of a sudden it dropped the valve. So, and I haven't pulled the heads on it yet. I'm just kind of trying to figure out what options I've got at the moment on a B model cat.
Sure.
So anyway, do y'all build long block situations, heads and all, or no?
Yeah, brother, you'd have to get a hold of us for that though.
Okay, well, I've got a call in. Surely they'll call me back at some point.
Well, it has been a wild couple weeks. I know.
I watch you all the time, so I get it. I understand. I'm not trying to rush things. I do have to make a decision on what direction I'm going to go.
I'm going to encourage you to call again, is what I'm trying to tell you, because we've had the busiest 2 weeks we've ever had in our entire history, and that's saying something for us. So, the girls,
I do understand that.
There's probably 600 or 700 phone calls that didn't get returned, and a lot of it had to do with people calling to try and sell us engines. So it got so overwhelming that even with 4 people answering phones, we got buried.
Yeah. Well, would it be better for me to bring my engine down? I mean, the block's good.
Yeah.
Such as that, or
if you call around, around noontime, you'll get somebody.
Okay.
All right, brother.
All right. Well, I really do appreciate it. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
much.
Yep, bye.
All right.
Well, I kind of figured out a way for the TikTok to hear the callers to an extent. I'll try to keep doing that. Is it true that dirty air filters can lead to oil consumption on a cat, or let's just say any engine? Dirty air filters cannot lead to oil consumption unless the dirt is somehow getting into the system and dusting out your liners. That is how you would start to have oil consumption. Can you consume oil from dirty um, air filters? Aside from that, yes. One of the ways you can consume oil is your charge air cooler can start to fill up with oil because it's trying so hard to suck air, it will actually suck oil past the seals on the turbo. So yes, you can burn oil up that way, but usually not to the point where you're starting to have to add oil. You just get a lot of oil in your air-to-air system down your pipes and stuff like that. But if you're talking about I had really dirty air cleaners and now I'm consuming oil like crazy, then you dusted your engine is what you did. Anyway, let's go ahead and take another caller. I'll try and do that little thingy there again where we can have TikTok hear the caller. It takes a lot of maneuvering the buttons over here. But I think Mr. McBride, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
I saw a video where you overhauled a Series 60 and you had the deck cut and you had a I can't remember if you called it a deck saver, but it was like a gasket. It was like a shim. I didn't know where you got it from. I was looking for one.
Okay, so I got that deck saver is what it's called. I'm not sure where you get them from because Duff and Diesel actually supplied that to us. I know they're not like this magical mystical thing. They're something that is a known thing, and they're not just for that engine. You can get them for other engines. But I don't have the answer to you to tell you, oh, here's where you go to get one. I would start by getting hold of like your Freightliner because they're going to deal with more Detroit engines than anybody really. Start by getting hold of your Freightliner and seeing if they can get you that exact thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got a Series 60 that's developed. You know, they develop a brow at the oil galley, and it's leaking oil. No matter how many gaskets you put on it, still leaks oil because that brow. So I'm gonna have to get the block cut, and I'll just trying to figure out where I can get that part from.
Yeah, you only need those if you only have enough deck height left, or you don't have enough deck height left to go ahead and cut it, and then you're in the danger zone of getting a piston strike going on. If you don't have that issue, you can just get it decked. You don't need a deck saver. You know what I mean?
I got you. So I just have to take the block apart and take it to the machine shop and let them determine how much to cut it. Gotcha. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yeah, that deck saver is not meant to be put on there to avoid decking the block, so to speak. So, yeah, you want to take it to a machine shop. All right, brother?
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Yep, have a good night. Were you guys able to hear the caller over there? On TikTok? I think you were. I think I was doing that right. That's a... Oh, God, it's so hot in here. Anyway, not seeing any comments, so we'll go ahead and take another caller here, guys. Let's do this. Okay. Hey, if you guys want to call into the show, by the way, this is Hack Nation Live. I'm your host, Aaron Bennett, owner of Hack Nation. We do this every Wednesday from 7 to 9. Just try and answer as many questions as I can, help as many people as I can. If you want to be part of the show, the number to call in to, guys, is 573-422-4225. That's 573-422-4225. All right, we'll go ahead and take a caller here. Not sure what your name is, but you're asking, does Aaron have a preference on engines and vehicles? You're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hello, Aaron. How you doing, sir? Appreciate you accepting the call. Just wanted to get some advice from you. I'm a pretty new owner op, 30 years old, and most of the, well, I guess timers would suggest going with the older vehicles, and I decided to go that route. But my question, an older model or a newer model?
Oh, you'd have to define what you mean by older model, my friend. Are we talking like B model or
Yeah, like
mechanical?
I guess before the whole DEF system regulation came in, you know, before 2010, I believe, that's when the whole DPF system started kicking in.
Mm.
So right now I'm driving a Freightliner Sentry 2006. You know, it's been pretty good so far, but most of the older guys would say that the newer vehicles, like 2022, 2023, they're kind of they tend to be it's a bit more expensive. It's harder to get by.
So let me just try to answer your question. Okay, so here's the thing. What you're trying to say is a pre-emission engine, right? That simplifies it quite a bit.
Pre-emission.
So there's pros
Right.
and cons. Pre-emission engine is going to give you some pros for sure. Emissions can be a headache. Guys that are willing to keep up on them properly don't have nearly the headaches of guys that just try and drive their trucks into the dirt and wonder why they have so many problems. If you're offended by that, then you're one of those people, right? But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Those older trucks come with their own problems as well. You're buying an older truck,
Right.
you're dealing with wore out leaf spring bushings. You're dealing with kingpin bushings. You're dealing with torsion arms. You're dealing with cross links. You're dealing with drag links. You're dealing with cab bushings. You're dealing with motor mounts. There's a lot of shit, man. There's a lot of shit.
Right.
And guys will buy older trucks.
Yeah.
Guys will buy older trucks. You're going to find people on both sides of the fence. You're going to find people that bought older trucks and they're just fucking disgusted with them. And all they want to do is go get a new truck that they don't have to work on all the time. And then guys will go buy new trucks and they'll be disgusted with them because they want to go buy an old truck that they don't have to work on all the time. The fact of the matter is that either way that you go requires due diligence on your part to have a properly operating truck. End of story.
Right. Gotcha. Yes, because the deal with this truck, I'm always working on something because, it's an older vehicle. There's things that are worn, so I'm constantly working on the truck.
Here's one of the pros. Here's one of the pros of that older truck. So here you are. You have the older truck, and you're always having to work on something. The big difference, though, is the things that you're having to work on are typically a lot less expensive than the problems that guys have on the newer trucks. But here's the thing. You are not going to buy the truck that you do not have to work on. So you just have to pick your poison. If you're looking for the truck that you don't have to deal with bullshit on, and that's not a brand new truck, go buy a brand fucking new truck. And then you're going to be complaining about how it's in the shop for 3 months to change one sensor on warranty. The fact of the matter is you have to hitch up your belt and tighten it up and be ready to fucking get your hands dirty if you're going to be in trucking. End of story.
Right.
So pick your poison.
I just want to know what poison should I pick, right?
I mean, that's like guys calling me and asking me what truck they should buy. I can't answer that question, man. I just can't. I can tell you what I would do, if that's what you're asking. So what I would do,
what would you do like in my situation?
I owned 23 trucks, and the newest truck I owned was the 2007. There you go.
Gotcha. Okay.
And if I had to go buy 23 more trucks today, I would not have one newer than a 2007. There you go.
I see. Okay. Yeah. And if you would, though, let's say you were living in California
If I was
and
going to go
had to
buy a
deal with all
brand
the
new
emissions
truck,
regulation.
if I had to go buy a brand new
Yeah, and
truck,
you had to.
I would buy a Cummins.
Cummins engine. Okay.
Knowing that I was going to have to
All
get
right.
into it sooner than if I bought any other type of engine. But it is the most
Mhm.
affordable engine to overhaul and so on the market.
Right. Okay.
All right, brother.
Well, that thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate your help.
Yep. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
I don't know how much echo we're getting from me making it so the guys on TikTok can hear. Hopefully not too much. What's the price of a coated in-frame kit with head or without head? Currently, I mean, the kits we're coming out with, those ones are going to be the kits that we're coming out with. Those ones are going to be coated when they come out, for sure. So you don't got to worry about that. But in the intern here, if you're asking what we're charging to coat kits in house, I believe the girls are somewhere between 12 and 1600 to coat everything. And then for the heads, we don't have a price on the heads yet because we just have prototypes. We're actually tested a new coating today after going back and because here soon we're going to be coating thousands of valves. And so we're testing new coatings out today, and they are very, very promising. So we don't have a price for the heads. I'm not willing to crank out heads and have people throw them on their trucks yet. We're still testing them. And I don't really like the product that we're using is one of the number one products in the world for what we're using it for. We bought a new product from the same company that they tell us is going to do that they're telling us is going to do a little better job. So um, it's actually the same product. The only difference is the cure on it is 6 days versus the cure on it that we were doing before is only 3 hours. So we moved to a 6-day cure, and I just started using it today, and it's looking really promising. After it cures for 6 days, and we test the shit out of it, if it comes out like it's going to, then yes, we're going to start debuting heads that are coated. So we'll see. But right now we're coating the shit out of kits. We're also going to switch our coating on our bearings to this same 6-day cure. So hopefully, that's kind of funny. I coated a kit with it today and it ships out tomorrow. I'm going to have to get a hold of those people and say, man, don't use this kit for 4 days. I didn't even think about that. Oh, that's funny. Well, I guess by the time they get it, I mean, because it's handleable. It's tack free within an hour. It just has a 6-day total cure time. By the time they get the engine built and before they ever spin it up, it'll have been 6 days anyway. So I don't need to worry about it. Thoughts on oil additives? You guys, you want to know my honest thoughts on oil additives? And I've used them all and tested the shit out of them. And actually, I'm going to be making a bunch of videos testing oils here in the next couple weeks because we're hoping to come out with our own oils, our own petroleum products. So let the testing begin like we did with everything else, right? But oil additives, I mean, what you really need is a good oil and you need a good maintenance program, not good oil additives. To be honest with you. I already have some preliminary testing, and I kind of have an oil sample from everybody: Royal Purple, Mobile One, Schaefer's, Dello. I even have a can of Pro Lube here because I know everybody's going to ask about Pro Lube. And I was expecting to be able to debunk the Pro Lube right out the gate. I watch all his videos. I'm just like, come on. But I did do some preliminary testing on that Pro Lube, and I don't know. I'm pretty fucking surprised. I'm pretty surprised. We'll see. I'm gonna be making some videos here soon. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and take a caller. Why does my air filter keep collapsing? We'll find out. What's going on, brother? What can we do for you?
Hey, how's it going? Watch the show a lot, love it. Thank you for the information. But my engine air filter. Well, first of all, I got a Series 16 12.7 DDAC 4, and it's got a model tune on it, 550, 575. But the ribs, they keep sucking in, and every oil change, every 15,000 miles, changing my air filter out or spinning the filter. What would it cause that?
Spinning the filter, the air filter?
Well, I spit in the housing. Yeah, the air filter to get a side. And it's not, the ribs are not collapsed, like they squish together. The ribs to the air filter on a Freightliner. No, it's squeezing together. You could tell that the air filter is squeezing. It's collapsing.
That can only be happening from when you're putting the cap on, you're crushing it.
I've had a Century before, and it did it also. And now I have a Coronado. It does it. On the Century, I ended up buying a K&N air filter, and the ribs are much bigger. And it did perform better, but it's still. Is it the tune, or you think it's just the housing that's just not right?
The tune, the engine, the oil change, none of that has jack shit to do with your filter collapsing in on itself. Just what you're describing sounds like it's being crushed. You're either using the wrong filter, or you're installing it incorrectly or something, and you're crushing it.
But it's not just the crush. The ribs, the spines, they close together. And then what I do, I rotate the filter to get a side that's not as the ribs are not together. And then 3-4 weeks later, those ribs will also come together. And then I'll just get rid of the filter and put another one in.
I'm not sure.
Okay. I have another quick question. Electric fans for the radiator, is that sustainable?
What is that?
Electric fans for the radiator instead of using the hub, a fan clutch.
So I can only tell you what I know, okay? I have seen guys try that. I've seen guys try different electric fan setups from anywhere from one giant electric fan to 4 electric fans and so on and so forth. I have never seen anybody successfully pull that off. There seems to be no replacement for your belt-driven fan. Just the torque and the raw power that fan has can't be replaced by an electric motor, from what I've seen.
Okay, well, there's a guy in Missouri called Kent Calibrations. He does remarkable work on 12.7s or 14, all Detroit stuff. He's done it, but he said it's still in the testing stages. So I'm kind of waiting to see what he comes back. But he has it all hooked up to the ECM, the air conditioning, everything. He has 4 fans hooked up to it. So
right. That part I'm not arguing. That part's doable. But the reason he says it's still in the testing phase is because it doesn't fucking work. It doesn't cool the engine down.
Yeah. He said he mainly did it for race trucks, but he's trying to use it for a work truck, and he just doesn't know yet. I keep on going through hubs every 6 months. I just put one in today on my truck. The fan clutch every 6 months they go out. They're junk.
Well, they're not. They're not junk. You have some other external problem causing that. You're not just, you have to have some kind of control there. And there's thousands of trucks running around that are running that same hub. So there's thousands of counter examples that those hubs are junk. Those hubs are not junk. You have something going on, and need to figure out why your hubs keep going out. It's not because they're junk.
I changed the solenoid out. We test the air pressure that comes out of the solenoid. What else could it be?
I mean, you have all kinds of mystery problems with your trucks. But what I can tell you unequivocally is that if you decide to rip that hub off and go through this whole big ass process of putting all these electric fans on there, you're going to be one disappointed son of a bitch. No matter what your buddy says about his testing phase bullshit, he's full of shit.
Yeah, I don't trust it, but I was just getting your opinion on it. But I just don't know why I'm going through hubs, clutches so much. We change the solenoid out every time. It's a Series 60 12.7. So I just don't know what else to check. If the air pressure is fine, the belts are fine. I don't know what else would be causing that damage.
I don't know either, brother. I don't know. What I do know is that there's thousands of counterexamples, literally actually hundreds of thousands of counterexamples that say that it's not the fan hub. You know what I mean?
Okay.
All right, brother.
I was just curious if okay, thank you.
No, you're good. And good luck with that one, okay? Oh, he hung up. Well, good luck anyway. It's not even that I wouldn't trust electric fans. The fact of the matter is, guys, is that electric fans will not do the job. They won't do the job. They don't turn hard enough. Right. Yeah. To the last caller, if you're listening, you have something going on. The fan's not, or the belts aren't staying tight enough. It's not getting proper air. Probably what's going on would be my guess. I'm just going to try and take a stab at it because I felt like I didn't help you. I wasn't mocking you. I just, if you got me up against a wall where you have a problem that is unique to your truck, and those kind of problems are hard to solve. Anytime you have a one-off problem, it's going to be hard to solve. It is what it is. But if I was going to take a crack at it, my crack would be, you're not getting adequate air to the fan clutch. Or if it's normally open, normally closed, or you're getting air to it constantly. And when it's trying to break, it's hanging open just a little bit on the friction pads, and it's prematurely wearing out your friction pads. It's an air problem. I almost guarantee it. I don't think it's a belt problem. Somebody said the belts aren't tight enough. Maybe, but I seriously doubt it. It's probably the fan. It's just got friction pads, kind of like brake pads. That's probably what's wearing out on it, and it's probably an air problem. I mean, people are suggesting a new fan, new spacer. I mean, for reals, brother, if you're still listening, if you've already replaced it 3 times, when you go back together with it this time, let's get a new fan. Let's get a new spacer. Let's go all that new. Let's eliminate all the possibilities. And if you've never changed your electric over air switch, let's certainly do that. All right, let's go take another caller. Wade, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
So I've got kind of an odd scenario here that I'm not sure what to look for. I can kind of describe what it's doing to you and what I've done so far and go from there.
Bring it.
I've got a 2000 model 6NZ C15 that going down the road developed a miss. The longer you drive the truck, the hotter it gets, the worse it'll miss. Sometimes if it sits for a few days and start it up, it'll idle okay, but once it warms up, it'll start missing. And as you're working it, it'll start fluttering and idle, kind of elope to it. Pulled injectors out, found a number 2 injector had been so hot it actually turned blue and had the O-rings were blowed off of it. Assumed that to be the issue. Not knowing engine history, I went ahead and replaced all 6 injectors with new cat remans, new injector cups, hold down bolts, all of that stuff. Replaced all of my fuel lines, and no difference. Seemed to still have 85, 90 pounds of fuel pressure, changed the fuel pump, the injector wiring harness, all the sensors, and tried an ECM hoping to find the issue somewhere, and still nothing has changed it even slightly.
Okay, so let's see here. Let me think for just a minute. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of echo off your whatever you're watching the show on. But anyway, so it's what you're describing is an injector problem in my mind, okay? But you say you went back and changed all the injectors. My first question would be, have you done an injector cutout test on the brand new injectors yet?
I have.
And
So before the new injectors, on the number 2, it would make very little difference. That's why we started to look there, ended up replacing them all. And after that, it's still pretty much the same. Once you run, you can cut off the number 2 or number 3 injector, and it doesn't seem to make a lot of difference.
but the injector cutout test comes back as everything's good.
When you turn off injector number 2 or 3, you can barely tell any difference from turning it off and turning it back on.
That's not what I'm asking you. When you do the CAT ET injector cutout test, they all come back okay?
So what I'm doing is I've got a cheaper scan tool that I found, I think TikTok or Amazon somewhere, and all I can do is have the engine idle and turn the injector off and check it that way is all I've done. Now, I have had someone else hook a computer CAT ET to it, and they found no issues with it.
That's what the new injectors, somebody ran a actual CAT ET injector cutout test on it, and they all came back okay?
Yes.
Okay. One guy in the comments says, check your grounds. I just experienced the same problem. That's that's possible. I've had trucks do some fucking crazy shit from not being properly grounded, and it's usually not properly grounded from the engine to the frame, to the chassis. But I'm going to assume that's not your problem. I don't want to start there, but that is something to check. If your injector cutout test is coming back fine, it kind of doesn't matter so much that you're cutting them out yourself. They're either good or they're not, right? Couple things is, are you getting any check engine lights?
No codes anywhere. It did have a code for, I think it was a camshaft sensor, and I replaced it just because, but no codes.
Okay. So I'm just going to, and I don't know the answer, okay? I'm going to run you down a quick list of things to maybe try and to look for, okay? Number 1, and this is first and foremost in my mind, your return line and supply line check valves. Both of those will cause problems very similar to a bad injector. Exactly what you're describing. If they have anything in them at all, especially on the return check valve, that one will make it run just like you have a bad injector, and you'll spend forever trying to figure it out. They're inexpensive. You can get them both from CAT. You actually get them off of fucking Amazon, to be honest with you. That's where I'd start. I'd start by changing those. If that
actually, we've already done that.
Okay. If that didn't fix it, and here's one of the things: when it's cold, when you first start it up, you're not having this problem, is what you said. Okay. So that makes it very possible what you're dealing with is a boost pressure sensor or a barometric pressure sensor. Both of those operate off of a diaphragm, and that diaphragm can get gummed up and give you all kinds of weird readings, which in turn makes it problematic on the engine to know when and how hard to fuel.
Okay.
One of my buddies, Charles France, who's been a guest on this show, he said, we have a truck in the shop right now that did this, and it was a broken adjuster in the Jake head that was barely holding the exhaust valve open. The hotter it got, the worse it would get from the metal expanding. Not saying his is the same, but that was the problem there.
I had been kind of leaning towards maybe some sort of a head issue, the way sits for a weekend, come in Monday, start it. It sounds okay idling. You put a load on it, it'll start missing, 8 or 10 hours throughout the day. At that point, when you're pulling up and stopping, it's got a random lope, a flutter, and then a dead miss and a hard pull that never goes away. But maybe while it was warming up, maybe a crack was opening up or something along those lines.
And you have inspected the entire valve train, I'm assuming.
Yeah, visually I've looked at it. Not actually had the head off, but the whole valve train, ran the overhead and checked for everything. Kind of did some bore scoping, and I never found an issue. Wasn't sure if it would be possible to get combustion into the fuel system. I have ran some sight glasses, and I have air, but I'm not professional. I'm not going to say it was more than what should be or not, but there was air in the return fuel.
And you've had an injector height tool on there and made sure all that's good.
Yes. And I've actually pulled the injectors back out, swapped their locations, and reinstalled just to make sure the problem is still in the same area, and it was.
Sure. Probably because it's not an injector issue. That's probably why. It doesn't matter what you do with your injectors, it's not fixing the issue. It's not the injectors. The reason I was leaning towards those two sensors is both of those can cause you a myriad of problems, and they'll never throw a code. Because for it to throw a code, that ECM has to sense some kind of ohm disruption going on. And if the diaphragm is the thing having the problem, it will never sense any kind of ohm disruption. It just gets a false reading, and it'll think, it needs this much air and this much fuel. It needs to cut your fuel because it has this much air, or it's at this barometric, it's at this elevation, and it's not. And it will run all kinds of shit, all kinds of shitty. It's certainly worth changing those two sensors, if for nothing else, just to eliminate them being the possibility. It's actually pretty surprising how many times that we have found the boost pressure sensor to be the entire problem of an engine that's running like it has a bad injector with no bad injectors.
Okay. Well, that definitely gives me something to look at there. I've looked at about everything but that, I feel like, so.
Well, give us a call next week and tell us what you found out. Maybe we can help out more if it's still not fixed.
Yes, sir. I sure appreciate the info.
Actually, let me ask you one more question real quick. Have you tried, does it do it when you're just sitting there at an idle, using the cruise control to idle it up?
Yeah, so I've checked the cruise and the throttle, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, it'll still have that dead miss and same flutter. Whether you bump it up at idle or going down the road, either one, or you're using the foot pedal.
But does it do it when you're sitting in one spot and idling it up?
Yes, once the motor's gotten good and hot, it'll have a dead miss doing that.
Okay, so it's not a throttle position. So just trying to eliminate one more thing. All right, brother. Well, good luck with that one. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Have a good night.
You too.
Can't fix them all. Can't fix them all. What's funny is the other day I had a truck and it kept derating, and it was a cat. It was a 6NZ, I believe. Kept derating, and no codes, no nothing. But it was 100% derating, or maybe it was an ACERT. Actually, I think it was an ACERT. And I finally had the Canadians hook up to it. I'm like, what is going on with this piece of shit truck? I swear it's derated. They looked at everything, looked it all over, and they said, we're going to recommend you change the coolant temp sensor. The coolant temp sensor is not, it's not even a derate item, right? If you have a coolant temp sensor issue, it is not one of them. Didn't recommend. So I got a new coolant temp sensor, put it in. Problem went away. I mean, I learned something new every day as well. So, what do I think about the MBN Cat? I like it better when it's a 6NZ. That's what I think about the MBN. But I mean, they're not the worst engine. What did I find with the SDP with the ECM issues or whatever it was? That's coming from Charlie, Pure Diesel Repair. What he's asking me about is we had an SDP that kept having injector problems, and it went to 3 or 4 different shops, or 2 or 3 different shops or whatever. We changed the ECM on it. We were certain it was the ECM driver. It went to another shop, had an injector harness changed, had external harness changed. What it ended up being, Charlie, I remember, I'm pretty sure the last time I talked to you, I told you I was going to pull the head off because I knew if that guy left here, it was never going to end for him. So I pulled the head off. Sure enough, we had a recessed valve. It had a suck valve, so that was a problem. I got him a refurbished head for pretty inexpensive. I think it was right under 2,000. We threw that on there, and actually the truck got finished at 5 o'clock today. He's coming to pick it up in the morning. So it ended up being a valve that whole time. So what a shit deal. We didn't end up charging him anything in labor. I just told him to pay me for the head, and we're going to call it even. Am I ignoring you? Probably. I didn't see your comment. Yeah, I was catch back up. That guys. You know what's funny, Charlie, is when it was at the shop that it was at in Midland, Texas, and it was at like a Hispanic shop. It's like a podunk shop in the middle of nowhere. The technician there, when he talked to me on the phone and they decided they were going to send it to me, he told me, I think this thing has suck out. That's what I think with it. I was like, man, there's no way. There's no way. He was right. If I had his number, I'd call him back and let him know that he was spot on. All right, we have quite a few callers here. Guys, we're at the end of the show, but I will take all the callers. We're on caller number 23, so if anybody calls after this, I'm not going to take it because I do like to go home at some point. But let's go ahead and we have 5 more people on hold. Let's get through these ones real quick. How do you get a hold of me? If you go to our Facebook, the very top pinned post on our Facebook has our phone number. The number to call our shop, if you guys want it, is 737-204-9316. It's 737-204-9316. All right, Nate, you're on. There we go. Nate, you're on the air, brother.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, so I'm up here in the Bakken as well. This is more of a business question, if that's cool.
Go for it. Go for it, brother.
All right, so I've been building engines for a fleet up here in Williston for a few years, and I'm on the verge of breaking out and going on my own. So I've been mostly doing ISXs, second teams, done some cats and tricks, but pretty much. It's I don't know crap about the business stuff. I've been, as far as experience goes, but been following a lot of business advice. The biggest thing is making sure that I have the employees, or not the employees, the customers lined up before I get a shop. But I also don't want to have too many people lined up, and people are waiting for a long time. But I've got a few big companies out here that I've run over their engines for them before. So, any ballpark advice you would give on that?
Oh, I mean, I have an unlimited amount of advice. I'll just give you some of the highlights, okay?
Yep.
Okay, so here's some of the highlights that I would recommend for anybody starting to start their own shop. Number one is your first point there of making sure that you have the perfect amount of. You can't base your business model on having the perfect amount of custody off, and you're not going to starve to death. That's something that works itself out. That's something that have to work itself out. You have to grow to the workload that comes in. You should start your business assuming the workload's already going to be there. You get what I mean? Because if you try to, I mean, yeah, there's something to be said for trying to scale too quickly, but if you don't try to scale quickly and make something out of it, then just stay right there.
Would you recommend aiming for the big companies or small guys or everything?
Do they have money?
Well, what I've noticed is the big companies. I have done a couple of their builds as an employee here at the shop I'm working at. They just brought us a couple of trucks that they needed built in the dealership. So it takes that stress out of it. But I know a lot of small guys, and I want to make sure those guys are taken care of as well, right?
Again, what it comes down to is do they have money? So if they do, I'll get to other callers because we're already at the end of the show.
Yep.
Number one is, and this is probably number one, the biggest mistake that most guys make is they are good mechanics and they'll start a business and they run their own business into the ground because they're the mechanic, they're the janitor, they're the office lady, they are the accountant, and they are their own lawyer. And the economy of time demands that they can only be one of them, and they're trying to be all. And so what they end up being is they end up being a good mechanic, and their business falls apart.
Yep. A little more.
So you have to learn to delegate some of those out to people that are competent.
Okay.
And if you want to be the good mechanic, which at first especially you need to be the good mechanic, right? Especially if you're training guys up in this and that. You need to you have to be in a position to delegate some of those other things, like your book work, right? One of the major downfalls of almost all shops is their office portion of it goes into the gutter. Secondly, is you need to have both of last year. We did what we called the budget bill for an in-frame with a head for $15,000. Okay. And then I saw multiple shops copy that business model. What I thought was really cool. I thought it was different that business model, attention, well-established company, and I know I had a plan for all that, right? I was using re-ring kits. I have all the equipment to take cylinders and not spend a lot of time on them. Reusing piston crowns. We had stockpiled 50 that we had that in the realm of okay, and they're
yeah.
So
I mean, that's about as cheap as you can possibly get the parts. As far as the head and everything, I don't know how guys make any profit doing it 11 grand.
Well, they're profitable. They are profitable as far as they're able to take some money home, and buy something and pay their rent. The problem is long-term overhead, and they're not accounting for warranty. And so they're setting themselves up to get fucking smoked. Here, and I'll leave you with the last thing here. In other words, your price point has to account for some future force majeure, right? And if not, then you have a bad business model. Long story short, that I'll leave you with here is don't get overextended into your customers. Like the way that we do it, and I'm not saying do it like I'm telling you, the way that we do it here is for people to even be on our board to be considered for somebody that we're going to overhaul their engine. They pay for the parts first, right? And we immediately get their part weeks which aren't already paid for. Right? We're not funding these.
That makes a lot of sense.
We're not funding people's projects. Now they don't settle up with us on the labor and all that until they're leaving, but at least so have something in place like that. And another thing is, this will be the last thing, and I got to go to another caller because we got to wrap this up. For your warranty, go have a fucking lawyer make your warranty.
Okay.
Draw up your warranty the way you want it to look, and then have a lawyer.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
You too. Bye. I think we're way beyond day at this point. All right, we got to run through these guys because I got this up. I'm not seeing a whole lot of comments anyway that I feel like I need to address. So, Anthony Cummins, what's going on, brother? What can we do for you? You're on the air.
Hey, man, I appreciate you taking my call and watch y'all and appreciate what y'all do. And thanks for your free time. I got a 2002 Cummins. Had an index done to it. It's a real same thing as the last couple of guys have talked about. It's got a real bad miss, like a loop, like a big cam. And well, I had the injection test done. Everything came back good, and that mechanic suggested it was a solenoid, one of the 4 solenoids on the side of the motor. My question to you is how do you pinpoint which one of the solenoids it is, because they're about $1,100 a piece. Instead of me just throwing money at it.
It's really easy. You're talking. You have a dual overhead cam Cummins, obviously.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So those things have each connector inside and plug them one at a time. It's that simple. Job.
Okay. Well, yeah, I did that, and the last one does not make any change at all. So
That's
I'm
the
assuming
one.
that's the one that's bad.
That's the one. Problem
Okay.
solved.
Good deal. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
God damn it. I wish they were all that easy. I wish we could help that many people easily. Wouldn't that be nice? Coming to the close, I do appreciate everybody in the comments. I'm glad I figured out a way for TikTok to actually hear the caller. We'll be doing that in the future, of course. About time. I mean, all I did was take the other headset, put it over there, and turn it all the way up. I should have done that so long ago. Learn something every day. That's, several people are asking me what the cost of rebuilds. I don't like to talk about that kind of stuff. I'm shy about what we charge. I think we're one of the fairest places in the United States. It's just, that's not what this show is for. This show is for, like, all these people calling it, that need some help. So, one guy was asking, yeah, if we're doing wristbands and stuff. Man, coating wristbands. What we're doing, we're doing cool like that. Wristbands, our rocker shafts, rods, several other items. What we are doing is we are mirror polishing them. Polish does a lot of cool things for you. We are going to have a whole ton of our lines going to be mirror polished, because mirror polish obviously cuts down to basically nothing. We all know how that helps with fuel mileage and horsepower and all those things. The other thing that mirror polishing does for you is it gets rid of, on a molecular level, it gets rid of your ridges and valleys, which dramatically increases the strength of the steel, because it takes away any fracture points that you can have. So to buy the giant agitating machines, Highway and Heavy Parts is getting their hands on them, and we're going to start mirror polishing all kinds of products. The other cool thing it does is mirror polishing stuff like rods, makes them shed oil. And so if you know then you know that oil that is clean to your rods, if it's being shed, it makes it run that much smoother. You have like a balanced rotating assembly. Mirror polishing a balanced rotating assembly is going to make a much, much smoother engine, even though it's already a really smooth engine. If you're shedding the oil off the rods, it's going to run even smoother. That oil cleaning on there causes drag. So where we're going, we already, we did basically OEM rods, but we're going to take them to the next level and mirror polish them again. Going back to how we're modeling this parts line that I'm coming out with, high and heavy parts, it's not reinvent the wheel like our turbochargers. We're just super core because they're the best. We don't want to deal with bullshit. And we are we're getting our own housings coated, putting our own housings on them. That way we know we have an awesome product, and we're just kind of taking that. We tested several different aftermarket rods. They just weren't. I mean, stretch test. They're not clustered here. So what can we do? So last two callers, let's go ahead. Michael Bowman, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you? That's you, brother.
Sorry about that. I was wondering what your thoughts are on Evans waterless coolant. It's supposed to eliminate cavitation. Have you seen it? Do you know anything about
I've never heard of it.
it? Okay. Well, I was just asking, and I enjoy your common sense approach to engine building and all these guys out there that try to put these race tunes in their truck and think they're going to drive it every day down the highway. It's crazy. It's like trying to put a pulling tractor motor in your farm tractor and think you're going to work it all day. It's not going to look cool, but it's not going to last long.
Yeah, I had somebody in the comments just a little bit ago ask me about 700 and 800 horsepower cat engines. And long story short, we don't build stuff like that here. And I have no desire to. Not that I can't. Obviously, I can, like anybody else. But I don't care to do stupid shit like that. This is how I like to explain it. If you have to alter the way that you drive the engine, you have increased the horsepower beyond the capabilities of the engine. And the horsepower, our higher engines that we sell here or build for people, you could throw a driver in it and he won't burn it to the ground. And if it can't be done that way, then it's not an engine that I'm going to build for. And you can have king of the hill shit. But I'm not the guy that builds you that 700-800 horsepower engine that you got to drive like you're driving around in an egg. I mean, what's the point of having a truck you can't ever use horsepower? If you do, you're having a heart attack because it might be the last time you get to use it. That's stupid.
Yeah. Maybe a 444 Cummins, or if you were lucky enough to have a KTA 600, that was the big thing. But there was a lot of freight hauled down the roads with 400 horse.
That's exactly right. 400 big cams were eating it up.
I mean, there's no replacement for displacement. I mean, if you have an 1150, then you can have gobs of power. But you too. Bye-bye.
Somebody in the comments asked, what's the time frame on your new ring sets? My wife was showing me something from FedEx today. They tried delivering them today, and it said something like failed delivery. Our rings were, as far as I know, they got delivered today, but we got a notification. I don't know, it's stupid. Let's see, man, this internet just man. We got one more caller. Let's take this last caller. I do appreciate him staying on hold for so long. It looks like he's going to ask me a question I don't have an answer to, but what a way to end the show. All right, Luke Spencer, you're on the show, brother. What can we do for you?
Yeah, hey, got the E7 Matt. We original motor spun a front rod bearing, put a crank and rods in this thing, overhauled obviously, checked liner protrusions. Ran into some issues, had to swap ECMs for some other stuff not working, but got her going for the guy. Drives it maybe 20 miles, blow by, running smooth, full head, and gets worse as they go back. Heat tabs on the head are still intact, and all 6 liners cracked.
Are you wanting me
Any insight?
Are you wanting me yeah, I have some thoughts.
Let's hear it.
It burned all the jugs, like
progressively worse towards the back. Your foot, the rings were starting to stick by number 4. Your top rings half stuck, 5/6, both top rings stuck all the way.
So what about the rest of the engine, the valve train air? That was all good?
Valve train, the right bearing's still new.
All the cooling.
Well, that was my first thought as well. But checking like spray patterns, man, they sure look like they're hitting where they're supposed to. Just by pressurizing the oil galley and taking a peek, I guess.
Did you guys remove them?
We did take them out, yes.
And how stored?
How are they stored? On towels.
I bet you they're bent, brother. I bet you they got bent.
I will take a close look, because that was my first thought when I was man to good.
The only thing is somehow you lost pressure to the rifle only in that spot. In the odds of just the way the oil rifle works, it's almost impossible for you to only lose oil to your cooling jets. You get what I'm saying? You would have ate up your cam, you would have ate up your valve train would have suffered along with it. So
I didn't look at an oil flow diagram on the thing, so I'm not sure there. Why does it seem to be progressively worse towards the back, I guess? Is the oil flow front to back on the cooling nozzles on those?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's the only thing that you said that makes me think it might not be cooling jets. It might be some kind of blockage, right?
And that was, I mean, we went in new thermostat, new water pump, obviously.
Well, that has, I mean,
and
we're talking oil here.
Right. Okay, I got you. Also, there's a blockage in the crank.
Oh, you have spun rod on top of all this?
No. That was the reason for the overhaul.
Oh, okay.
Was the original motor spun front rod. But we obviously cleaned oil galleys. I mean, it was a complete out of frame.
Okay, so what do your rods and mains look like now? Nothing. They're great.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. Yeah.
So I mean, again, man, you had to have bent the cooling jets.
Yeah,
it's the only thing that makes sense. And you pressurize the oil system and they're squirting, right? And man, it depends on what piston crown you have. I've never been inside a Mac, okay? But I'm going to assume that there is a reception point on that thing for the ring lands, and they don't got to be bent much at all for them to miss the ringland port, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And just the time frame you're talking. They don't go very far if it's not getting all into the lands. But it don't take no time, and all those rings up, and boy, I mean, 100% like bent cooling jets me. It's the only thing that makes sense that the rest of your engine's fine.
Right. Yep, and that was, like I said, it was definitely on my radar, but they did just all appear to be fine. So I'll definitely order 6 new ones and compare.
They're all, I mean, yeah, I'm just racking my brain trying to think of other things it could be, but I mean, that's the only thing that comes, I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, it's worth a double look for sure.
All right, brother. Well, good luck with that one. I mean, don't ask me how I know. That's what that sounds like.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Good night.
Thanks, man.
Right when we were leaving North Dakota, I had 3 engines in a row burn out 1 cylinder hole. And they're all in random spots, 1, 3, 6, all 3 times. It was a vent cooling jet. Right before we left North Dakota, I had to tear apart 3 jugs. I'm sure you can imagine. Yeah, we have a whole protocol here for how you handle your cooling jets and what you do with them and when you take them off and just all that, because of situations like the man that just called. Where were you at in North Dakota? We were between Williston and Minot, right by Purdy's, 5 miles out of St. So, why are you so big on cats? Honestly, the reason I'll tell you how guy. Okay, I last started my trucking company, running from Fairbanks to Prudhoe Bay. Now, the lifespan on an engine running the Alaska Haul Road is dramatically shorter than down here in the States. Your expected lifespan of a Caterpillar engine on the Alaska Haul Road is right around between 500,000-600,000. That's the most you're going to get out of before you have to overhaul them. Your Cummins, the average lifespan on the Cummins than that, 2, 3, if you're lucky, 400,000 before you have to get into them. And so to me, it made sense to buy cats. And so I bought cats instead of Cummins. There, a lot of people are Cummins in the Alaska Haul Road, but I bought cats specifically. I didn't want to have to deal with on them because I have no clue how to overhaul an engine. So I was terrified of having to get inside of it. So I only have cats, hoping to prolong the amount of time it would be before I had to get inside of an engine and overhaul it. So ultimately, I ended up having to overhaul one. It was my second year in business when I lost my first engine. And I had to learn to come inside the dynamic. I didn't have a so what I could build camera that you're like 50,000 for me to go to up there. So I had to learn how to do it myself. Anyway, guys, really cool. I figured out how to get the caller onto TikTok. So I'm really happy about that. We'll be doing that in the future. What would cause a wrist pin to come apart? There's certain factors that can contribute to a wrist pin part. The number one contributing factor to, because the internet's so shitty, I want to make sure that my answer ends up actually recording. But the number one cause of wrist pins coming apart is almost exclusively installation error. Almost always. Pins really not a fast and overhaul and you're having a wrist pin problem. Obviously, there could be other contributing factors, but most of the time, if it's within a reasonable amount of a time of an overhaul, you have a wrist pin failure, it's an installation error of some kind. Anyway, guys, we're half an hour past almost on the show. I did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. I'm so glad I figured out a way to get the TikTokers gonna make Fritter go forward. To remember this week to do that. We'll see how that works out, and hopefully this week, next week, coming next week, we'll be making all now. Excited about it. Super stoked. We put a lot of effort into all these things. Finally, gonna see some results. So anyway, guys, you all have a good night. Appreciate you stopping by and joining the show. Help me out. Thanks for all the guys who help out in the comments. Truck Works of Ohio, Pure Diesel Repair, Diesel Beast. Love you. We love you guys. And anyone else that I don't know as well, coming on here and helping us out. Frank, buddy. Frank's in the comments saying here. Started here about a year. Has a very competent mechanic. Cut his mechanic really at my shop and has come into his own very quickly. Quite a bit faster than most guys do. His brother works here as well. Great guys. Love them long time. Anyway, guys, maybe I can get my brother-in-law on here to be one of the best guests. I don't think there's any guy that has his knowledge for just troubleshooting shit. Like, there's a lot of people that call that he could just his time away from me. 25 years later, he values his time not spent with me. So anyway, you guys have a good night. Thanks for joining the show. I'll see you next we'll be doing it again. We'll see you then.